Hey folks, how you guys doing? Hope you're all having a great day today. I have a new lathe, so I'm going to make something with it. And for that, I've got this big piece of babinga. I'm going to make, hopefully, the largest turning that I've ever made. Here's my idea for what I want to do. This is going to be some type of shallow dish, shallow tray. And here's a cross section of it. The center is going to have some type of finial or something to act as a handle. So if this is, say, like a candy dish for Halloween, then somebody can just grab the top center and pick up the entire dish. The cool thing is this is going to be somewhere around the neighborhood of, when it's all said and done, 15 inches or so. I think I can turn about 16 inches on the lathe with some outboard turning, and hopefully we can get it maximized yield as far as the diameter. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the outside shape is going to be just yet. If it's going to be something like this, I don't know. Could be, I could go with like a little flower type outside. But regardless, this center section, this finial, is going to be something like that and attached with a through tenon, or I guess an integral dowel onto the finial piece. Should be a big turning, should be a lot of fun. What I'm using is babinga, and as you can see, there's a glue line right here. This piece was originally about 10 1/4 wide, and it was actually about this long. So I took this section over here and ripped it like so, and then glued up 1/2 over here. That means this piece right here will give me a good grain consistency and color match for this exact board to make the finial piece in the center. So this will be cut down once again, and then it'll be a spindle turning. And then this edge right here on this bottom board, this top edge, is the same edge as the bottom side of this piece. So I just took this section and flipped it over. So hopefully this will be as close to a invisible seam as possible with this particular piece. So now I already have a circle marked out. Not this black one, but there's a lighter pencil one that's an actual circle from a compass. And I think the maximum yield on this piece was 15 1/4, a little less than I initially thought, but it's going to be fun regardless. The first thing I need to do is knock off the corners of this larger rectangular blank and make it a little bit more circle-ish. Because I will be cutting the tenon before I cut the mortise, I need something to size the tenon. So I put the Forstner bit in my drill press, and I'm going to make a couple holes to act as kind of like a gauge block or a guide block to make sure I don't go too small when sizing the tenon. Alright, so I drilled one hole on the edge and then one hole in here. This will allow me to really determine the exact size and make sure it's accurate. But as I go, I want to have this open-ended side. I'll get rid of these little inside corners, so that I can just simply put this onto the workpiece as I'm turning without having to remove the tailstock. So that'll help me get close, and then once I want to really verify an entire fit, I can use this. Alright, so I've got my platter blank, the blank for the spindle, and a little template here. So I'm going to get the lathe and everything that I need outside on the driveway so I don't make a crazy mess here in the shop. Alright, well, plan B. I opened up the garage door to do the turning outside to keep the mess outside, but I let the day get away from me and I'm losing daylight. So instead, I'm going to move my workbenches around, get these out of the way, and then turn in this big open space and hopefully not cover the wall with stuff. A little while ago, I was contacted by Laguna and asked if I'd be interested in introducing one of their new tools, this particular lathe that they've had in development for quite a while. Initially, I said, you know what, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I'll think about it. Well, I went to the International Woodworking Fair in Atlanta, Georgia, and I got to see this thing in person. And, well, it's quite obvious that I said yes. So let me, real quick, go ahead and show you a couple of the features before I actually get to putting this thing to use. This is the Laguna Revo 1216. It is a MIDI lathe, but it has a lot of really nice features. Pictured here is the bed extension on the right, and this can actually be moved to the left-hand side, slightly lower than the bed, for outboard turning with a tool rest extension. There is a 3-belt drive system that can be adjusted by turning a lever 90 degrees and then moving the belt, and it is powered by a variable speed motor that is reversible. The headstock has 1 inch by 8 threads on both sides for mounting a chuck or a faceplate, and the headstock also has a 24 position indexing pin to lock the headstock in 15-degree increments. The headstock and tailstock both have an MT2 taper. Shown here is also the stand with a tool holder and a mobile base kit, which makes moving and storing the machine out of the way very convenient. Finally, on top is the optional light, which makes me feel like I'm at the dentist office because this thing is really bright. Due to the noise of the air cleaner cart, as well as the lathe and the inconvenience of having a respirator and a face shield on, I'm going to shut up and just get to work. So if you'd like a detailed explanation of everything that I'm doing, then be sure to check out the website article that is associated with this video. So I'm going to get to work, and I'll talk to you, I guess, when it's done. Alright, so I had a dumb moment, a couple dumb moments while making this, so I'm gonna start over completely with this piece. But I was turning it this way, this being the top of the handle and this being the tenon or the dowel that's gonna go in the hole. I should be turning it like this with a tenon inside the chuck, and then I'll size this part last, and then I can work on this as needed. But anyway, I got a little carried away with the spindle gouge, had some tear out pieces, and then I just did some stupid stuff. So, round 2. It's been a little while since I've turned anything, so the first one, I screwed up so bad. The first one, this ended up getting too narrow at the top. This was not the shape I was looking for. I was screwing around with the spindle gouge, which I've never, ever been good at. Yeah, this one broke off because I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing. And the second one turned out a lot better. I still screwed up a little bit here at the end, but I'm glad I did because I like this little detail rather than this being on top and bottom. So this is the tenon that will go down into the bottom of the platter, and there's a nice finger grab from no matter which direction you approach the handle thing. So now the fun part, the bowl or the platter. so it's actually the next day. I realized last night that I was starting to make some uncharacteristic, dumb decisions. I think I was just getting too sleepy. So when that stuff starts to happen, get out of the shop. That's what I did. So here's the progress of where we're at. This is the platter, and let's see, and in this orientation, it's up. Now, the profile, that side profile is kind of there because I was chasing tear out, and once I got to a certain point, I was like, that's just the shape. I'm not going to get this tear out. So that's the shape. And you see just a little bit right there. I was scraping these with some card scrapers, and that seemed to clean up the tear out the best. This Bubinga is tough and it's dry, so it's really tough to turn as well. So that is the outside profile. The bottom does have, depending on which way you look at it, does have a little bit of these rings that I, again, can't get out. I was wanting to fuss with this and get it nice and perfect, but then again, it's the bottom, and I could end up removing way too much material trying to chase that as well. So I'm going to leave that. It's the bottom. It'll never be seen. The mortise for the chuck is just fine. On the other side, though, I can mount this in the chuck and turn the inside. I did, unfortunately, have 2 screws break off inside of the wood from the faceplate, so that tells me I need to use stronger screws next time. Yeah, I think it was the screws. I don't think it was the size of the pre-drilled holes. So what I'm going to do is get this really close with the chisels, the turning chisels, bowl gouge, and then I will use probably some regular bench chisels to break off the grain with the grain so I get a nice clean break to extract the screws. That's the plan anyway. So let's mount this up on the lathe and get the inside turned, drill the hole, and be done. So here's the thing, you can see on camera that there's a bunch of scratch rings all the way around here, and I keep chasing them, trying to get rid of them, and I've used card scrapers by hand, I've used my sander. For the life of me, I just can't get rid of them, and I can spend all day trying to get rid of them, but at the end of the day I realized that turning is just a skill that I have to work on. I know my way around some of the turning tools, but I'm not a master by any means. So rather than chasing these down to such a thin wall to where this is no longer a usable piece, I'm going to leave it as is, kind of like a reminder that, hey, you got to get better at it. So that's number one. Number two, I put my Forstner bit in my chuck thinking that I was using the tailstock to drill this hole. Well, there's obviously no tailstock out here, so instead I used one of the turning tools to create a point right in the middle that the center of this Forstner bit can index off of, and I will cut this while it's off of the lathe. And then glue it together and try and get better next time. So it's done. I've kind of got mixed feelings about this project. Part of me is like really just picking apart all of the flaws, because there are a lot of flaws on this. It's driving me nuts. There's a lot of tear out that is being pleasantly masked by the oil. You have to look for the tear out, but it's there. There's obvious rings in the bottom of this thing. but hopefully this will be full of something and you won't see it. So I'm kind of tearing it apart in that regard. But on the other side of things, I had a lot of fun here in the shop. This was a very fun project to make. I'm not necessarily a wood turner, so to say. So for me to get back on a lathe and make something that's relatively cool, I'd say, and also the largest thing that I've ever turned, way outside of my, my realm of doing things, I'm pretty pleased with that. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if to call this a success or a failure. Let me know. Thumbs up for success, thumbs down for failure. The biggest takeaway from this is acknowledging the fact that I'm not that great with most of the lathe tools. And I need practice. So that's the biggest takeaway, is acknowledging the fact that I need more practice on the lathe. So anyway, it's October when I'm making this video, so I'm going to use this as like a candy dish for Halloween. That was the main inspiration behind making it. And that's that. Other than that, I'm just going to try and keep something in the bottom of it to cover up these rings. So anyway, I had fun making this. Hopefully you guys had fun watching this video. If you want some more detailed information of all the stuff that I didn't talk about in this video, then check out the website article for this video. I think that's it. So you guys take care, have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next video. See you later. So my wife was telling me the other day about this guy she works with, where she works, and just talking about some weird stuff, and the guy said that he was addicted to soap. I thought it was a little bit weird, but I guess it's all good now because he's clean now.